into the OB3 pipeline currently, and we're currently supplying about 24 million scoff of gas per day. We're also tied into the NGC OB3 pipeline network at Umokwata, and that is where we basically tie into their system in there. For the gas metering itself, system itself, that cost about $1.2 million, and this was two 35 million scoff capacity systems, for which DPR, now NUPLC, were all consulted and all approvals were obtained from them. This includes the custody transfer, position analysis, flow measurements. The factory acceptance tests were carried out with NUPLC participation, metering scale, all of which were cleared out from the ports, foundation works done and completed, and then short fabrication. This was the laying of the 7.5 kilometer pipeline, as you can see, cutting the right of way and clearing the site to be able to lay the pipeline itself. So acquiring the right of way is part of what needs to be done to be able to look at how you can develop and utilize the gas they produce from your asset. And of course, ensuring that all necessary DPR or NUPLC approvals are provided. Usually this involves their coming out to look at the facilities and make sure that it meets regulatory requirements. And then the delivery of the processed gas from the Egbaoma field into the gas pipeline itself, and ensure that all long lead items were procured and construction feed deed work is done, and also getting all the necessary valves to go with the system. And also making sure that pig launchers and receivers are fabricated, and then these were installed for us in December of 2019. So part of the project that we're going through is what we call the EOGP Project 2. That basically involves the commissioning and successful completion of the phase 1, but then following up with 2 new compressors, which for us has arrived and are currently undergoing installation of work as we speak. That costs about $6.4 million. The compressors are currently at site. We've done a hazard analysis, and mechanical installation is ongoing. And we're looking at having this completed by Q2 of this year to be able to increase our compression capacity and be able to deliver more gas, and also be able to produce gas much more efficiently with minimal shutdowns. So part of that is that we're looking at the Egbaoma OB3 gas pipeline phase 1, continued supply of wet gas at right now we're getting about 28 million scoff of gas per day feed to PNG gas plant. We've completed the Egbaoma gas pipeline project for delivery of gas to OB3 pipeline. We're looking at 2 12 million scoff gas compressors, additional pipeline. They will tie it into the network at the picking station of Ukwata, and we'll complete the pre-commissioning activities at the OGP project while I'm waiting for the other end of the NGCOB pipeline network full commissioning. We're also looking at the optimization and upgrade of our current flow station to be able to handle more gas volume. And we're looking at about 60 million scoff of gas. And then while all that is going on, additional statutory validation, calibration of the West gas system is going on with transfer meters as well. In our phase 2, we intend to cover all the procurement and installation of those other systems. And this was awarded to Excellence, a company that provides the unit compressors. Procurement of long lead items, the hazard, like I mentioned, has already been done. And a lot of this work that is planned to be completed this year in 2022. So in essence, we've been able to execute with PNG gas, execute with Power Gas, and execute with Nigerian Gas, our company, NGMC, marketing company. And if you look at the dates on which all of this were done and the volumes that we have here, from 12 million to 30 million scoff of gas, for Power Gas, looking at giving them CNG and supplying dry gas, lean gas to NGMC through the pipeline. This was completed in January of 2 years ago. And they were also working on a further agreement for tie-in with NGC, which is an IPS Ukwata, for the phase 2 to be able to deliver 30 million scoff of gas. So in terms of the Egbaoma gas commercialization, first of all, a lot of things that we've done over the couple of time is that we've been able to get the Egbaoma Gas Compressor Company established, and now it's fully functional and utilizing the gas produced from the field. The company has taken over the operations of the basic infrastructure that is required, so it's now a standalone company. And the PNG wet gas metering custody system transfer unit, which is what part of what it owns now, the wet and lean gas metering manifold custody transfer system, the NGC lean gas metering custody transfer system, all the meters, the compression station itself, and the associated gas export pipeline, and also the interconnected gas connecting facilities. The infrastructure available, as you can see from the map here, includes the Egbaoma process facility, the gas plant, about 30 million scof of gas, and sends about 25 million scof of lean and wet gas to the manifold, which then goes to the system there for compression. 25 million gas is compressed and is then sent to the pipeline. So that gas goes to power gas and then to two other opticals that are taking about 10 million scof of gas per day. This is a couple of pictures of the plants and during some of the construction phases and some of the FAT phases. You can see the metering system there. This was building of the flows of the tanks at the station to be able to handle the crude. Because you know, we're not just producing NAG. A lot of this gas comes from associated gas, and so we have to handle the crude that is produced from it by storing them. We're looking at some of the equipment as it went through fabrication and factory acceptance tests overseas, and to make sure that everything is lined up properly before being brought into the country. And this is a picture of the tank, of the storage tank itself. Out of 20,000 barrels, was 100% calibrated, and all that stuff is now currently in use and is used to store our current crude, so we can be able to produce more gas for the country. So this closed station upgrade costs about 7.2 million. Had a condensate stabilization unit, a factory acceptance test on all of these, and then planning to increase capacity from 30 million scof to 60 million scof, for which installation is currently ongoing. So here's the metrics for the gas commercialization that we're having. So platform is basically providing access, stakeholders access to cleaner energy. And as you can see from 2021, the percentage of the gas in the Egbaoma field has reduced drastically from 86% to 13%. And we're not done yet. We're still working to achieve the zero flare, which is what us and the regulators have promised to do. So our work is not done. We've come a long ways to 30%, but we are still working to even go to 0% to ensure that every molecule of gas that we produce is actually harnessed and utilized and is commercialized for both us and for the environment which we protect, and also to make a revenue for the country itself. So I think with that, we come basically to the end of that journey. But this is not really the end for us. This is just really for us the beginning, because we have more things to do in terms of taking a Egbaoma gas plant to the future where we really want to be. We're working to get there. And like I said, it's a journey. And we thank you very much for giving us the opportunity to share that journey with you. And with that, I say thank you. And I and my co-presenter will hand over back to for any questions. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you, Engineer Christopher. As I said earlier, if you have any questions, you can put it on the chat box. If you also want to speak, you can raise your hand. I'll give you the floor to speak. So, Engineer Bukola, I mean, there's a lot of work, going on at Platform Petroleum, and the whole goal of the Sustainable Development Goal 7 is to ensure everybody has access to clean and affordable energy. And I see that Platform Petroleum are working towards that direction. And I really commend your team for that. And with that, I would just like to ask a question, and it's more like a general question. Yeah. So there's been a lot of projects, to ensure that, gas that's being produced from Egbaoma field, that is being commercialized. So my question would be, what can you say, that's enabled, this particular change for Platform Petroleum in terms of commercializing, the gas that's been produced from Egbaoma field?
Okay, I'll take that question. I think the first thing we have to understand is that as a country, we are looking at a resource that is abundant in Nigeria in terms of the available gas. And for any company in Nigeria, and for anybody living in the Delta, where you wake up and see gas flares, I think a lot of us are conversant with what those flares look like. However, because of the fact that we are flaring, basically you're burning dollars is what you're doing. And if you know the value of the dollar, you wouldn't be burning it. And so the idea of converting burning dollars to actual dollars in your bank account was a no-brainer for Platform. However, the challenge is where the fact of the location of the plant, one, two, the requirements for infrastructure and capital. So first of all, understanding that you might want to go into gas commercialization, but then you have to ask yourself, where's your nearest facility to tie into? You need to process the gas. What is the specification of the gas required by the end user? You have to have a contractual obligation, a contractual agreement to supply gas. Gas, unlike oil, is not something you store in a storage tank. It is something that you have to basically send to market. And for us, it was about tying up the loose ends in terms of the end users that would want to take the gas, in terms of the number of people and the volumes that they are committing to take. As you're aware, when we open up our reservoirs and we produce associated gas, we have to manage the reservoir in such a way that we do not produce excess gas that ends up being flared. So those have to be put into the contract in terms of what the end user wants to take, 2 million, 3 million, 10 million scf of gas per day. So we'll build that into our reservoir management module and then find out, can we deliver that volume to them? And if we can, then how far off are they in terms of laying the pipeline? Who pays for the pipeline? Who processes the gas? What is the spec requirement of the gas that they are looking for within their system? What are they going to use the gas for? Power generation, what exactly? So all these are the discussions that are had into it. And for Platform, getting into all of this, our management decided that this is something we need to do, having read other companies in various places over the years. And so it was more of a case of, do we have the off-takers that we need? And if we do, how much gas are we looking at providing to them? And can they handle the volume that we can actually deliver? Once we agreed with them in writing that all of this was possible, then it would essentially mean that we could then come into laying the pipelines, building the flow station. As we've tried to show you the cost of each phase, what it costs for each of those phases. Those are amounts you have in dollars, not in naira. And as such, those are capital-intensive projects, which means you need to have the financial muscle and the backing to be able to deliver that and be able to execute on that and complete it to deliver to the client. So for Platform,
yes. Sorry to interrupt, Engineer Charles. We are losing your audio. Can you move closer to the microphone, please?
Okay. Is this better?
This is
okay,
better.
yeah,
Thank you very much.
better, yeah. Thank you.
Great. So what I'm saying is that for Platform Petroleum, these are the key ingredients. It's kind of like you want to make a soup. For us, making a soup in which we call it Egbaoma gas has been about getting the end users in terms of the volumes they need, and for us to be able to lay the infrastructure to get to their end. PNG is taking a good chunk of the gas, but so is NGC, because NGC will be able to tie into NGC line. We'll have to lay the pipeline to get to where NGC is and tie into their system. We'll be able to work with them in terms of their specification for the gas that they need at their end, and run periodic tests to make sure that we meet the contractual obligation of what we've agreed to supply to them at the required pressure. And so having the compressors come in to be able to boost the pressure to be able to supply gas that is required to them. For PNG and for Power Gas, other off-takers that we work with. We are also working with them in the same area to find out what exactly is the volume they desire to have, and then make sure that we meet their obligation on a daily basis. So this is really an ongoing journey, it's an ongoing discussion. And as we work with them and also bring in more off-takers, we intend to expand our capacity, we intend to increase our volume once we get off-takers coming in. Ours is to manage the reservoir to deliver the gas effectively. However, ours also is to manage the reservoir to make sure that whatever we get up to that reservoir in terms of gas volumes, we do not flare. And that is where we're working with the regulators to be able to achieve that feat this year. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Engineer Christopher. That was a very, elaborate answer. So we have a few questions on the chat, and we have a few persons that would like to speak. But I'll just ask two questions from the chat. I still have a few questions, but let me just ask a few questions from the chat. So one of the questions we have here from in one of the slides that Bukola shared earlier, the slide that showed the projection for the gas that was flared in, I think 2015 or 17, I'm not sure, but that was showing around 8 billion scoff per day. So I don't know if they're asking if it's correct. Can you go back to the slide and so that was in 2019 that the peak flare occurred, right? So not the slide. Keep going back.
No, I think it's actually a total for the year.
That's the yearly volume.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, for the year.
So
Yeah,
the yearly
yeah.
volume was 8 billion. So,
Yeah.
Okay, thank you. So another question. Yeah, this is the slide. Thank you. Okay, so that's for the year.
it's million, but the value is 8,000. So that's 8 billion.
We can't hear you, sir.
The unit, the unit you see in terms of the gas rate is stated in SCF per day. That's a million scoff per day. But then the value you're seeing is about 8,000, which basically means it's 8 billion standard cubic feet of gas. But that's the volume for the year.
For the year. Okay. All right. Thank you. So we have another question here, and it says, is the sales gas associated gas, or have you had to drill non-associated gas wells to meet gas demand?
Sorry, please repeat the question.
So the question is asking if the gas that's been commercialized, is it associated gas, or are you drilling non-associated gas wells to meet the demand?
Okay, for now we have associated gas wells, and for the future we're looking at drilling non-associated gas wells. But for now, the wells that we are producing this for our current phase right now is the associated gas wells.
Okay, I think that's brilliant. Okay, we have Emmanuel Udofia who wants to ask a question. Dio, can you unmute Emmanuel so that he can speak? Please go ahead, Emmanuel.
Yeah, good afternoon. The name again is Emmanuel Udofia from Sunesis Energy. Chris, Engineer Chris, good to see you again. And I'm so happy about the great job your team is doing. Thank you very much. The question I have is a very simple one. It has more to do with the era we are. We are in the era of business transformation with the aid of technology. Is it possible to share at a very high level, very, very high level, your technology roadmap that will aid this great job that you are doing?
Okay. Technologically, we are in the era where a lot of things are happening. I can tell you that when you look at the compressor systems, compressor stations that we brought in, and how we are hooking them up, connecting them, the application of Internet of Things, IoT, AI, to be able to monitor what we get out, be able to monitor our process flow, be able to monitor the parameters that we need on a daily basis to watch and make sure that things are actually happening properly, even within the process line itself, the gas plant itself. We are putting in technologies in there that help us to monitor things remotely and be able to basically see the sensors and see what's going on, divert flow, be able to understand when we need to back off, apply some more back pressure on some of the lines. So there's a lot of technology application that is going on right now. Even with the companies that provide service to us, we are having some technology sessions where we are looking at different things. I want to try different things with them. Some of that right now, because we're just starting it, those are the tests that we're going to be having over the next couple of months. Exxon is running a couple of tests in terms of the facility that we have. We are looking at, as we install the flow stations, we're looking at monitoring systems, remote monitoring systems, accesses, of course, limited accesses to make sure that just the managers and the supervisors have access to that, to where we can actually effectively manage what we have. And as we send fluid to NGC line, to PNG, to power gas, we are also installing systems that are going to help us to determine when at their end they are running low, so we'll be able to increase output to them, or when we need to cut back output to them, rather than just having to make a phone call most of the time. Some of this happen in the middle of the night, 2, 3 a.m. when you and I are asleep, but we'll be able to have systems that will be able to divert flow and manage some of those flows in different ways. So we are looking at all kinds of technology applications. The one thing about me and technology is that I like to try different technologies as long as they are applicable and we can justify them financially to be able to get better production and increase production as well. Thank you.
Thank you, Engineer Chris. I'll talk to you later.
All right, thank you, Emmanuel. Thank you, Engineer Christopher. I think we have another question on the chat. Just give me a minute. So there's a question. Philip Todd is asking if the creation of the midstream company was necessary to make the venture economic.
Okay, so the creation of the midstream company actually is an offshoot of where we see the country going in terms of the PIA. As you're aware, various companies, the Shells, the Chevrons, and the ExxonMobils and all these other companies have not really ventured into gas as much, with the exception of the NLNG, which was done by Shell and the national company, NNPC. A lot of other companies have not really bothered to get into it. Not everybody has access to send their gas to NLNG, but we know that Nigeria is a gas province where there's a lot of gas. A lot of companies are producing oil, but comes with associated gas. And in order to set up the midstream company, the idea really was to have the company take ownership of the gas facility, take ownership of the gas volumes, produce, market, and distribute that gas. And that creates a different burden, a different tax burden on the corporation itself, in that you're not able to have a mini company that can effectively focus squarely on gas utilization, commercialization, and distribution. And that basically takes away all the other headache that you do have. You don't necessarily have to create a midstream company. However, by PIA now, it is seen as a different entity. And therefore, the tax regime and all that stuff that is paid is completely different in terms of what is required by law. So right now, it is, I think it is, I don't know if I could say the word mandatory. That is going to be more dependent on NUPRC's interpretation, but it is a requirement now that is seen as a separate category for taxing, and therefore it makes more sense to have it as a separate entity. But every company is entitled to look at the PIA, look at the directions of the PIA, and get their guidance from their legal department. I think it's very crucial that us technical people I like to tell people that whatever you do, make sure that you have the legal people as your friends so they can interpret some of these things for you and you'll be able to fully understand the implications as you go forward. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Engineer Christopher. I think we have someone that would like to speak. Falalu, Odio, can you give him access?
Thank you, moderator, and thank you, Chris and Buki. I just want to ask these few questions. The first one is, there's a slide where you showed gas produced, flared, and commercialized. Can you kindly go back to that, please? Let me just. So I realize you have, sorry, am I audible? Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Yeah, you are.
Okay, so where you have a chart up to 2022 or so. Yes,
Yeah.
yes. Okay, so I realize your production was good actually in 2020, despite the impact of COVID generally on the business.
Yeah.
But we have a drop, or we had a drop in 2021, where expectedly in Nigeria, at least, we have actually had progress over 2020. Can you kindly give us why you had that drop in production in 2021, although you had a remarkable flare performance? And what do you envisage in 2022, having almost conquered COVID? Secondly, sorry, recently, insecurity or asset insecurity has affected many companies in the industry. How has that affected you, and what do you think we need to do as a nation to actually overcome this in order to optimize our resources utilization? Then finally, the PIA has come, and then for some of us, we think it's more of a gas bill. Do you think it's going to positively impact, especially small gas asset ownership and management in the country? Thank you.
All right. Thank you very, very much for the question. I think the part that you raised in terms of the production.
Engineer Christopher, I can hear you.
All right, so the part that you raised about the production, we'll try and address that first. And then what happened really was that you had, as we said, this is an associated gas production system. And so with that comes oil and water. And as some of the wells start producing water, you have an increase in BS and W across the area. And so some of those wells, though they are producing a lot of gas, but because the water cut was really too much, water handling became an issue. And so some of those wells that were high gas producers, but also had high BS and W, because all the gas was coming from associated oil, we had to shorten some of those wells and take them offline. So that's why you have the decrease in production. And so some of those wells are still shutting because of water handling issues and also storage capacity for the crude. And also the fact that the pipeline in 2021 that we evacuate from the UPIL and the Ajib branch line has several issues for which the Ajib branch line was shut in from more than half of the year. From about May of last year, the pipeline was shutting up till February of this year when it was opened. And so we could not evacuate crude, leading to the fact that we basically had to shut in a lot of our wells just to curtail production. And so that led essentially to a decrease in production as you see in 2021. This year, that line has come back on. However, it has been a bit epileptic throughout February till now. And we've hardly had a complete 1 or 2 weeks where it is not down. The same thing for the UPIL Umugeni pipeline as well, which we relied on a lot more last year, We've also had some issues this year where it's been down. So a lot of this has been evacuation challenges in the Niger Delta. And when you're producing from an associated gas stream, we do have to account for all the oil and all the water as well. And so where we cannot evacuate the oil and handle a lot of that water, we find out that we have to shorten those pipelines that do deliver a lot of our gas volumes. So that's on the first question. Okay, so like Bukola said here, she was capturing the second question. That's on the PIE and how it affects the small producers. So like I said earlier, in whatever we do, us technical people, commercial people, we also need to have our legal people as part of our friends. Take them out to lunch, buy them a cookie or two, a biscuit, a drink, or Coca-Cola, to share their understanding and interpretation of that PIE with us. I do that all the time. I have legal people. They'll tell you I don't buy them biscuit and cookies, but I do try to have lunch with them and talk with them. The PIA has come out and is here to stay. So for small companies, it's very, very vital that they understand what and how the PIA affects them as a corporation. For us in Platform, we are very fortunate to have some of the best legal minds here, some of the best commercial people here. And so working with them and having to go back and forth, discussions with them in terms of what we need to do and how we need to do it has been very crucial and very vital to our success. We engage our legal people pretty much in everything that we're doing. PIA interpretation can be, can go either way. But what I understand is that every entity will be looked at as a separate corporation, and so the tax will be applied differently. For us in Platform, having EGPCL as a separate company allows us to grow and expand and gives us the flexibility that we need to be able to even produce more. So that is something I would have to ask every company to sit down with their legal team and understand, go through the PIA as we did in detail, and understand the implications of the PIA, because those changes, modifications will apply to every company producing gas and producing oil differently based on where they are, based on the volumes that they have, and based on what stage of development that they are in. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Christopher. We have another question on the chat, and I'll just read it out. It's from Tile Fiola. How do you plan to upgrade from 30 million scoff per day to 60 million scoff per day? Are you adding additional train, or the current cryo unit can handle the 60 million scoff? Or is there a plan to revamp the existing 30 million scoff per day plant?
Okay, thank you. So our project team and operations team are working on getting us to that point. Right now, we're actually working on a flow station upgrade and then increasing the plant capacity in terms of what we do. Right now, we're having 2 new compressors installed as we speak. Those are already on ground and are being installed, and all that stuff, all that really to do is to be able to handle more gas. We have the capacity in terms of the reservoir volumes to deliver most of that. But more importantly, in terms of the actual machinery and infrastructure, put it together, which is what we are doing. We're looking at one plant expansion, which is what we're really looking at. We have a lot of machinery that's been brought in, that's sitting on the ground right now.
All right, Engineer Christopher, we can hear you.
We have a lot of material that is already on ground that we have brought in the past year, waiting for installation. We are looking at expanding our current facility. So we had the 2 compressors. As I'm speaking to you now, 2 additional compressors are in ground and are being installed currently. I will be commissioning that in the next couple of months once that is done. And all of this will get us to where we really need to be in terms of the capacity which we are looking at. While all this is happening, we are also expanding some of the other systems that we are bringing in. All of this does not happen without you looking at the total system. Fire and gas, for example, we're expanding all of that to handle the 60 million scoff. So a lot of this work is currently ongoing to process and to increase the capacity of what we have. We just are looking, we have the space on ground. We've gotten the machinery on ground already. We are doing installation currently, as I'm talking to you right now in the field. A lot of engineers are there, a lot of companies are there. A lot of construction fabrication is ongoing in Egbaoma right now to be able to get also the required capacity that we need. We are also doing what we can from petroleum engineering aspect as well to make sure that we have the deliverability, we have the volumes that are going to be going into those systems. And we're also looking for additional volumes from other places to bring to Egbaoma. Because Egbaoma sits in a strategically located area where we can actually have other facilities, other operators bring their crude, bring their gas to us for processing, for onward transmission. So those are really the key ideas. It's not just for us alone, but we also handle third-party products as well. Thank you.
That's fantastic. Thank you, Engineer Christopher. Before I give, I believe Nene wants to ask a question, but before I give her the floor, allow me to take you back to the PIA discussion, right? So, I mean, the PIA basically tries to, solve the gas issue you're having in the country. And we can all agree that gas is a very key resource, in terms of Nigeria's transition plans, right? As was also mentioned by the Vice President last year. So my question is, one of the, I mean, there are a lot of problems in the Nigerian power sector, and one of the problems that many people have highlighted is the low feedstock, right, to the gas plant. So what are the plans for? I mean, are there plans? Are you guys putting any plans together? In order, there at Platform Petroleum, in order to help solve the power issues we have in Nigeria.
All right, thank you very much. I remember as a child growing up in Nigeria, I was told that anytime NEPA took the light, we said off NEPA, and then somebody said Kainji Dam was low. We've gotten to a place in technology and development across the globe to where most countries don't depend on their dam anymore. You have gas powered turbines. You have natural gas that is fed into the system. I think it's really a lot from our perspective as Platform. We intend to supply every molecule of gas that we have to the system, to the grid, to the NGC, to utilize to power the country. That is our commitment. That is what we've been doing. That's what we are doing right now. Now, within the system, within the federal fabric, our social framework, where the gas goes through and how it is utilized, that part we really do not control. We, on our own end, provide all the gas that we have to NGC, and it goes into their system, and I guess it finds its way for power generation at some point. But I think what really needs to happen is the NGC or NGMC needs to come up with a forecast. What we do in other countries in the United States, for example, where we have center point energy supply gas to most of Houston area and Texas, we have a forecast of gas utilization expectation for the year. And what we do is we drill wells to develop and make sure that we have enough gas stock feed into the system, because you can't really store it. We just make sure that we'll have enough network connection, and we'll have our forecast for the summer and the winter, where we know we utilize more gas for heating and cooling of the houses at various times of the year. Those forecasts are made, and they will put certain factors in them in terms of population growth, expansion, development, and what have you. And then those forecasts are what we use. That comes back to us, and we use it to drill our wells and develop our wells, and we decide what goes where. When I'm sending gas to Pennsylvania, or to Michigan, or to Idaho from Texas, my responsibility is to make sure that I have enough gas volume to do that. We haven't got to that stage in Nigeria yet, but that is what I envision for Nigeria. I think we should be able to build that framework to where we'll be able to know how much gas we need for each of the seasons. And we don't have to have it to the molecule, but we can at least get a forecast for what we do, both in the United States and in Canada, to be able to supply the homes, supply the national grid with what is required in terms of the volume it needs to keep power on. So we are open to discuss that and provide ideas on how that can be done. But in terms of what gets to the national grid, we provide as much as we have to the national grid to power the country. And we'll continue to do that with every molecule of gas that we get. Thank you.
Well, I think I will take the question from Neneze now. Audio, can you give us the floor, please?
Okay. Hello.
Yes,
Yeah,
please
we
go
can
ahead.
hear you.
Ma'am.
All right. Thank you very much, moderator. Good afternoon. And good afternoon, Mr. Chris and Mrs. Bukola. Thank you for the presentation. So we understand from the presentation that currently you're commercializing associated gas, which is highly dependent on crude oil production and the availability of your facilities for crude oil production. So the question is, how do you manage availability for offtake in your respective offtake agreements you have with your buyers? I know you have a 20,000 barrel storage threshold from this presentation. So when you exhaust that storage capacity, how do you ensure that you still have gas for offtake under the respective agreements that you have? And does this impact on the pricing you have to negotiate with your off-takers from your experience so far? Grateful for you to share. Thank you.
All right, thank you very much for that question. So what we do have, correction, is a 40,000 barrel storage tank. We only show the 20,000 barrel tank, which is one of them, additional tank. And since joining platform, we're now tossing around at the idea of building additional 20 to 40,000 barrel storage tank in addition to the 40,000 we have already. That's something we're discussing in-house in terms of capacity and reservoir management and volumes and surface productions. Now, so because of the fact that it's an associated system, it comes with water, all of this, like I said, the total system management, everything has to be managed optimally to be able to get things to the point where it really meets our requirements. One is the fact that because we already have the gas contracts signed, that's one of the first things that you do for gas development and deliverability, is to have an offtake agreement signed, a GPSA, gas sales purchase agreement. You decide how much the dollar is going to be, the dollar per MSCF of gas that you're going to sell your gas for, the composition of the gas is going to be delivered, and various other parameters that are discussed in there. Because again, it has to be at a steady, flat plateau production for the duration of the contract. Gas contracts are not things that you sign for 1 year. Those are long-term contracts. So 10, 15 years contracts are usually what they are. And so with that, we know what we're going to be delivering from the reservoir management perspective of what is required. And then on surface, we make sure that we meet the requirements compositionally to make sure that everything basically meets our contractual obligation. So monetarily, we already know how much we're earning from gas by day on a day rate volume basis. We know what we need to deliver, so we manage our wells to make sure that we optimally produce the wells to the point where they deliver the required amount of gas. And if one well is not producing as expected, typically reservoir management will go to run a well test on the well, find out what's going on. If we need to bin up or bin down or put another well into stream, we do that as well to make sure that the gas production plateau is kept, because that is the basis of our contractual obligation to our off-takers. Secondly, just because we're producing oil, it also means that we're producing water, and that water has to be treated and disposed of at some point. The storage tanks you see are only meant to handle the oil. The gas goes into the system and goes to various gas processing stations. PNG takes the wet gas, it takes a complete stream, strips out the high ends, the CNG, LPG, propane, and all that stuff, and gives us back the dry gas, which we now send to the OB3 line to NGMC, and it goes basically to the power grid and to the nation. We take back the condensate and work with that. Now, the main thing about all the gas that you get is that whether you're getting AG or NAG, in terms of AG, you have oil to worry about, and you have evacuation challenges to worry about, because you're either going to store it in storage tanks like we do, but there are times when, like last year, when the pipeline wasn't working and the storage tanks were full, and we had to start looking for alternative evacuation routes. What that means then is that you'd only have to be able to get out a certain volume on a weekly or daily basis. And so your well production would have to go down. Either you're going to have to bin down the wells or shut some of those wells in. And the reservoir doesn't really enjoy a lot of that kind of shutting when you're trying to optimize your reservoir performance. So, but it is what you have to do to manage your tank top space. And so tank space becomes a big issue in terms of associated gas, because you can only produce so much and you can only sell what is required. Anything excess of what is required or what is contracted, you do have to send to FLE. So that is part of the challenges that you have to work out in terms of writing a gas contract or working with an off-taker. For us, we're doing our best we can to make sure that we minimize the gas volume that we produce to just what is contractually required. And that means we have to do a lot of reservoir surveillance on a daily basis. Bukola has something that Bukola has her head in every day. She gets to the office, is to first sit down with the other engineer, that's the other engineer, and do reservoir surveillance and be able to say, what are we going to deliver for this well for this week? And we make sure that we can do that continuously, because that assures us of the volumes that we're producing. And so we don't end up producing excess volumes that goes to FLE, because FLE for me is really a waste. It's a waste of company resources. It's a waste, basically you're burning dollars, which is what we've committed to not to do. We will not burn dollars. We will utilize those dollars. We will put them into the pipeline or put them in somebody's homes. So that's really for us is a solution to go. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Engineer Christopher. I think we have more questions on the chat, but might not be able to take all of them. So I'll just drop. Maybe you can take one more question, then we can round up. I think we have Tayo Farola asking again the estimated cost for the 30 million scof per day gas plants provided in one of the slides, $60 million. She's asking if that's the figure. Is that the total capex?
Yeah.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you.
I'm trying to navigate the slide.
Let's look at the what slide is it referring to?
Okay. Tayo, can you maybe put the slide on the chat? So.
All right, so see the slide. Okay, I see the slide. Yeah, so that
We can't hear you.
Okay, so yes, that's the cost of the venture itself. Now, when you look at all the associated costs with it, that's a summation of all the costs put together for this facility. So you have 2-3 million here and there, 5 million there, $10 million there. Like I said before, this is capital intensive. It's not a tomatoes and onions. This is quite a lot of money to put a facility in place. But to put a facility in place to handle gas, at the end of the day, is well worth it, because even if you take the cost of gas, even at $2 per MSCF, and you're producing even 10 million scof of gas per day, that basically pays for itself over a couple of years. So $60 million is the cost for both the JV, New Cross, and Platform joint venture. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Thank you very much, Christopher and Bukola, for the detailed presentation. I would like to share my screen before we conclude, just to make a few announcements.
Neme, sorry to interrupt. Before we do that, can we put on our video so we take a screenshot, the gallery picture of the virtual attendees?
Okay, that's fine.
You have that set up.
Okay, I'm here. Please, can we turn on our videos? We'll be enabled to turn on your videos so that we take a group photograph. Thank you. Let's have more people turn on their videos, please. Please turn on your videos so that we can quickly take these pictures. And as you turn on your video, please kindly smile. Thank you. Thank you. Okay. We are clicking right away. Thank you very much. If you are looking to your side, can you just look straight to your video and let's take pictures? Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. And let's do the thumbs up. The thumbs up. SPE. Let's do the thumbs up. Thank you. Thank you very much. Okay.
So Odion notes that there are different pages.
Yeah, I know. I'm clicking. I'm clicking and taking them as well. Thank you. All right, thumbs up. Keep the thumbs up. Thank you. To the next page. Okay. All right, nobody's here, but I'll take okay, one more. Section chair, I'm done. Thank you very much, everyone, for turning on your videos. Thank you.
Thank you. So Neme, please go ahead.
All right, thank you, everyone. So we just a few announcements from the section. We have the YP. We have big events coming up, right? We have the YP forum this Saturday. Is going to be a hybrid event. So we have high-profile panelists and also have a keynote speaker, coming to the event. So just ensure that if you're not able to join physically, you can always join online, right? So we also have the distinguished lecture coming up. We have Ralph coming to speak to us on field performance prediction and uncertainty. And we have the annual technical symposium and exhibition coming up on May 17th and 18th of this year. And we're also going to put out the own scholarship with Mervyn Azeka initiative. So please look forward to that. We will be concluding this petroleum engineering webinar series with the webinar on the 1st of June, and we'll be discussing the future of basically the present, the past, the future of LNG, right? And we have Malcolm and Phil coming to talk to us. So if you've not registered for any of this events, please ensure you can visit any of our social media pages and get the link for registration. Once again, I would like to thank Engineer Christopher and Mrs. Bukola and also your team there at Platform Petroleum for making out time to come and share this what you guys have been doing. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah. With that, I bring the webinar to a close. Thank you.
Thank you, everyone. Thanks to all our guests. I see you all. Have a great day ahead.
Thank you.
Thank you.